everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book HQ. So today I'm going to be talking about To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. So I'm going to talk about all three books and the movie because I don't know when next I'm going to have a chance to do a video for each book on its own. So the movie dropped on Netflix and the whole world's been going crazy ever since that happened. So I was reading and finished reading the books before the movie dropped. I have to say that I'm really pleasantly surprised by the adaptation of the book. Finally I get a good movie adaptation, and it's really a lot like the book. The story by Jenny Han follows Lara Jean Covey, and she's half Caucasian and half Korean. I'm assuming South Korean. And she has two sisters, and her mom passed away when she was really young, and she's the middle child. And when she has very, very strong emotions and very deep crushes on guys that she can't have, she writes them letters, and her letters are more sort of to say goodbye to them and like she's done with liking them, and then she moves on. And so what ends up happening is that somebody sends out her letters, and in the book her little sister Kitty ends up sending out the letters because Kitty is upset with her. But in the movie, Kitty sends out the letters because she wants Lara Jean to, get a boyfriend and, spread her wings and stop being such a closed off kind of hermit person. So previously, Lara Jean only spent her time at school and away from school, either at home with her family, her older sister, and the older sister's boyfriend Josh, who happens to be one of the guys she had a crush on and a recipient of these letters. Some of the little differences between the book and the movie is that in the book, Peter Kavinsky, who is like the guy who can do no wrong and walks on water, drives an Audi in the book, but in the movie he drives a Jeep. And I actually had a chat with my sister about it because she lives in Canada, and she was saying, I could see that change being made because over here the Kavinskys drive that, so I could see that. The first book and the movie, well, the movie kind of is a combination of the first book and the second book. So what happens is that the letters get out, and in an attempt to try and get Josh, who's her sister's ex-boyfriend, to not think that she likes him, she ends up making out with Kavinsky. In the movie, she makes out with him on the track. In the book, she sees him coming down the hall and she runs up to him and literally jumps on him and makes out with him. Then they decide to go ahead and start pretending to be dating. This is the one thing I didn't like about the movie, is that in the movie, Kavinsky's doing it because he wants to get Jen back. Whereas in the book, he's doing it because he wants to prove to himself that he is not whipped or he's not owned by her. And yeah, I kind of, the reason I didn't like that is because that idea or that concept isn't new. When I was younger, we had lots of movies like that where we're gonna pretend that we're interested in each other to try and get this person to like us or to get this person back. And the movie that I think of most notably was a really successful movie starring Adrienne Grenier, and she's one of these actresses with three names. She was Sabrina. Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa Joan Hart likes this blonde guy who kind of looks like Nick Carter, but anyway, and she wants to get his attention, and then Adrienne Grenier, who's her neighbor, has broken up with his longtime girlfriend and he wants her back, so they pretend to be dating, and then they end up falling for each other. And I didn't like that the movie kind of went down that route as well, when it could have done something different. It could have just stuck to the way it's done in the book, but it's fine. It didn't make it terrible. So they start pretending to be dating, and then, they get people's attention. One thing which really surprised me was that, they go to the party together, and this girl, calls her over and starts asking for too much information in somebody's, private love life, that even, she's and I didn't understand half of it. She was, listing off acronyms and, making hand gestures, and I was like, oh, we don't know each other from a bar of soap. Why are you asking me all this, super intimate, detailed information, is what I'd be thinking if I was Lara Jean. But she shut it down really classily and really nicely. The second book, which is P.S. I Still Love You, this is after they have the whole blowout, the hot tub business goes viral and things are terrible. She goes back to apologize to him, and then they start dating for real. In the book, in P.S. I Still Love You, they're start dating for real, but Peter is still really attached to Genevieve. They're still really close, and it causes problems in their relationship. But then Lara Jean hears from John Ambrose McLaren, and I just want to say, spoiler alert, I was team John Ambrose McLaren. I would have been happier if Lara Jean had chosen John Ambrose McLaren over Peter Kavinsky, because he treats her pretty crap in the whole of that second book, and I hate him in that second book. And I'm just like, girl, here's a guy who's like hot and like a wonderful person, and I'm gonna list off some of the things why I say that he's a wonderful person. She reminds him that when they were kids, they were all playing a game or a sport at school or something, and one of their friends ripped his pants and everybody was laughing at him and he was getting upset, and John Ambrose McLaren hopped on his bike and rode home to get this guy a new pair of shorts. Like, this is the kind of guy he is. He's just so nice. Not like he's nice, but he's like considerate and like also very perceptive, and like for me, I was like bowled over when he tells her that he likes her. When he tells her, the words he uses, he wants to make it unequivocally clear that he likes her, and I was like, oh yes. And then she chooses Peter, and I was like, why? So they didn't get to all of that in the movie. That was one of the things that made me sad, is that like in the movie they just like didn't have John Ambrose McLaren in the movie at all, except for at the very end, and he looked sort of tweeby and nothing like John Ambrose McLaren. John Ambrose McLaren is actually like Peter's like main rival, and Peter almost loses Lara Jean completely to John Ambrose McLaren. Like, the boy has to come groveling and begging to get her back because she is like halfway fallen in love with John Ambrose McLaren. It would have been nice to see that, and also I was sad for John Ambrose McLaren because, like I said, I am Team Jam. In the movie, some of the differences from in the book was that like the movie, Margot's the one who gets the video taken down, but in the book it's Peter and then eventually her dad, because the bullying or the cyberbullying doesn't stop just because the video is taken down. It gets turned into a meme. It gets turned into like wallpaper at the school's computer lab on their computers, and her dad eventually gets that shut down. In book 2 anyway, they end up locked in a fierce battle of assassins, like this tag type game, and that kind of leads to Lara Jean kind of having some revelations about the closeness that Peter has with Jen, and she feels like she's second best, because it really does, when you're reading it, he does always choose Jen over her, and she's like, I'm not gonna be second best anymore, I'm done, tags him out. And in the movie you kind of see that at the end, where she's like, oh well, sort of at the big fight scene where she's like, I'm not gonna be second best. Kavinsky's like, no, you were never second anything. So they break up in book 2, and then they get back together again, and then in book 3, Always and Forever Lara Jean, it's about the pressure of going to college and how they have these plans to go to college together, but Lara Jean doesn't get into the same college as Peter, and Peter's going on a lacrosse scholarship to his college, so he doesn't really have a choice, like, because his mom can't afford out-of-state tuition. So she ends up going to a really awesome university, and she chooses that for herself over being at the same university with Peter, and you kind of see like kind of the strain between like wanting to be with this person because she very obviously loves him, and choosing what's best for herself and her future. And they manage to weather that too. And then we also get to like see John Ambrose McLaren again, and he now has a new girlfriend, Dipti, and I was so sad. I feel like John Ambrose McLaren is like the one that got away. I read all 3 books twice, and I was always just so sad at like thinking about what could have been between Lara Jean and John Ambrose McLaren. That being said, I really did enjoy the book series. I really enjoyed that in the movie they didn't include sort of the narrative of how like her dad, Dr. Kavi, ends up moving on from his wife and like marrying their neighbor, Trina. I mean, it was really a really good movie. I loved it. It was a Friday night. I was so excited when it came out. I posted to my Instagram stories that this is gonna be a wild night. My husband's away. It's me and She Baby, and we are about to watch To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I just wanted to say this, that I kind of feel like John Ambrose McLaren is like an ember in the ashes, or like a torch against the night. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's kind of a hint to the next book series I'm going to be talking about in my next videos. If you haven't watched the movie, if you haven't read the books, I don't know what you're doing with your life. If you haven't already liked the channel, please go ahead and do so. Click on the bell so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, keep reading and keep watching. Bye-bye.